Hello from Budapest. We are here in this beautiful capital of the country of Hungary, and this place is just full of history and culture, and we've been learning a lot of really interesting things about the refugee and immigration crisis here in Europe. One thing that I learned is that Budapest used to be two cities, Buda and Pest. They're on the Danube River, which goes right through the middle of the country of Hungary. And Hungary has a long history of being a border. They are very proud of the fact that this was the end of the Roman Empire 2,000 years ago. This was the end of the Ottoman Empire about 1,000 years ago. And they are very proud of the fact that they have survived Nazi occupation and Soviet communism intervention. There's a huge sense of nationalism here in Hungary, and that is really impacting the refugee crisis. You see, 94% of people who live in Hungary are Hungarian, and that language has no connection to any other language on earth. They're very nationalistic, and so as such, because they pride themselves on just being Hungarian, they're not really interested in other people coming for really any reason at all. It's very difficult for foreigners or immigrants, even expats, business people and students, to really set up a permanent life here. That made it extra hard for the refugees. So even though we got to visit a refugee camp that's been there for over 3 decades, and even though the Hungarian government knew the crisis was coming, they were completely unprepared last year in 2015, when literally hundreds of thousands of folks just started walking right through their country on their way to Germany. Hungary wasn't ready, the people weren't ready, and pretty quickly they just got overwhelmed. So now we got to visit with some immigrants who are still here, who are still coming, even though they have set up a very significant border wall, and they're only letting 30 migrants per day into this country, the absolute minimum required by the European Union. So unfortunately, because they have this huge history of being unwelcoming, they're still very much unwelcoming. They're not really unapologetic about the fact that immigrants are not welcome here. Refugees are not welcome here. They don't want them to come. They don't want them to stay. This has been really hard for me to be a part of, because obviously I'm doing this work because I feel very differently. But it's also highlighted the difference to me between the United States and Hungary. For 400 years, the United States has been a country of welcome. Where Hungary is 94% Hungarian, the United States is 97% immigrant. And so while Hungary has done a really good job of keeping refugees out of their country in order to preserve the Hungarianness, I wonder what that tells us about the United States. When we have a history and a legacy of being open and welcome, of inviting immigrants, our Statue of Liberty says, "Give me your tired, your poor." Their Statue of Liberty says, "We fought off the communists." It's a really different history, and I really hope that the United States, and no matter how we manage immigration and refugees in the future, that we're really able to embrace a welcoming spirit in a very different way than Hungary has. Next, we're off to Germany, and we're hoping to hear some great stories there as well. Thanks so much.